And good morning. I'm going to just give the title this morning, and it's actually, I didn't even write the blurb because you'll see why. 2012, Responding to Questions from Subscriber. Mr. Nibiru 10 wrote, quote, "Keep up the good work with your videos. Looks like we are seeing, or looks like, oh, yeah, looks like we're seeing," he doesn't have an apostrophe in there. "Looks like we're seeing more and more ships near the sun. Just last night, there were over a dozen hovering near the sun. Something is definitely coming. What are your thoughts on 2012's events and first contact with the Galactic Federation, Nibiru and Jesus, and who knows what else? Thank you very much for your time. Cheers." I will correct some of the things that I noticed were missing as I read that. I'm surprised I didn't read it before because I'm not doing it out loud. Anyway, yesterday I spent probably about 6 hours watching part one and part two of Robert Morningsky's Star Elders series, which was recorded in August of 1996. That was the year I started Paradox magazine, and just a few months later, putting it into the context of my own life. And I will say that some of his predictions did not happen. Where else have we seen that occur? Because none of us, I repeat, none of us have all the answers and know exactly how this whole thing, this 2012 scenario, is going to unfold. So when Mr. Nibiru asks, what are your thoughts on 2012's events? I have some ideas, but that's what they are. They're ideas. I don't claim to be a guru or to know all the answers. I am certainly not a specially anointed individual. I am an anointed individual among many others. None of us are superior to the others. None of us. And if you meet someone that claims to be the special one, I agree with Robert Morningsky. Turn and run the other way. The same as any religion that says we're the only ones that are right. The same with any church that says we are the true church. Anytime you hear anybody make a special claim to be the unique one, the only one, run for the hills. And I'm going to put that in context in a minute because of my belief about Jesus and what I think about Jesus, which was one of the questions. But he talked about events that I see happening, or at least I interpret it, events that are going to be happening here in 2012. I do see, as is all over the internet, that there's going to be a lot of arrests made of high-placed individuals in our system around the world. I think that has to happen. I don't think the awakening process can go to the next level until some of these people are taken at least out of the way as far as being able to communicate lies instead of truth. I believe that truth is absolutely essential, and I'll get to that when I get to the Jesus part also. But in any case, removal of the powers that were, or at least subduing them to the point where truth has an equal standing with them, so that both can be heard and compared, and that the mainstream media has to begin. There at least needs to be some outlets in the mainstream media that need to be able to tell the truth and unadulterated truth. Now, Robert Morningsky is a Native American, full-blooded Apache, and oh God, I forgot the other tribe, and it's the more famous one to me. And today, the one that's has this female dominated and much more much more laid back. Hopi, yeah, Hopi and Apache, which are two diametrically different viewpoints, as he described. The Apache is male dominated, warrior dominated, and the other is female dominated. But anyway, his description of our history, while I don't know what's true and what's false anymore. I mean, I find it fascinating to listen to other alternative viewpoints of how we got to where we are and where we may be headed. I find that fascinating, and that's why I spent 6 hours listening. It's not about swallowing hook, line, and sinker at anything anybody says, and that's true of me. And he says, don't believe what I say. Research it. And I say the same thing to you. And the most important research that anybody can do is the research of going inside themselves. How does this feel in me? Am I coming up with lots of resistance? Does it feel like it resonates? What does it feel like in me? Because trusting our gut, which was, he said, an old Indian adage, trust your gut. I've said, follow your heart and trust your gut. And I absolutely believe that's the best advice that I can give to any individual. But anyway, first contact with the Galactic Federation. Will that happen in 2012? I hope so. Do I know it? No, I don't. Do I believe that there is such a thing as a Galactic Federation? I believe there's probably more than one Galactic Federation. And they don't necessarily all have the same intent. I believe that some aspects of the Galactic Federation play with channelers that are sincere and honest, like Blossom Goodchild, for example. And they do give messages to these people. But as we've seen, they lie. And anybody that uses lies to twist things around and create certain responses, anybody that uses lies to do that is not something that I can trust my gut with. Something isn't right there. Because my heart is about love. Love is my religion. I say I'm a Christian. I am a Christian because I do believe in Jesus, and I will get more to that in a little bit. But love is the central theme that I pull out, not just out of Judaism and Christianity, not just out of any one thing. Love is the central theme for me all of my life. All of my life. It is the one thing that I have been consistent with from the beginning. Regardless of all the other trappings around what I perceive and believe, regardless of those, love is the central theme. Since I was a little child, love has been the central theme. It's all about love. And that's that's my filter. Is it loving? That's my filter of how I know if something is a word from God or not. Is it loving or is it fear-based? If it's fear-based, it's not from God. Period. It's not from God for me. Now, if you want to be in the fear-based part, well, that's the role that you're playing perhaps, and you'll learn from that role. You'll learn. Everybody will. So, yes, I believe that there's a Galactic Federation. I believe there's more than one, as I said. I don't believe that they're all on the side of good. I'd like to believe that they're all on the side of good. It looks like that's not true, based on actual personal experience, which as a mystic is a person who doesn't believe something because somebody said it. They believe it because of personal experience, because of the gut feeling, because of the intuition, because of what they simply allow themselves to know and to realize for themselves. Now, as far as Nibiru goes, yeah, there's things there's astrological things that have happened in history and that are happening now. I don't know. As far as UFOs goes, there's been UFOs in messing around in human history from the very beginning. And there's archaeological and scientific evidence of that fact. Anybody that doesn't believe in UFOs is nuts. They haven't looked at the evidence that's available. Of course there are UFOs. Of course there are extraterrestrials. Of course there are angels. Of course there are, even God is an extraterrestrial by definition, not living on Earth. But God is not, God, the creator, is in everything. That's a definite theological aspect of God that I believe is foundational truth. God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and any other omni. God is all of it, all and in all. God is all that is. Now, Jesus. I still, to this very hour and minute, love Jesus. The Jesus that I grew up learning about, I believe that there was some distortion. Not everything I learned about Jesus from the Bible and from my Sunday school classes when I was a little tyke, and from what my parents told me in their Sunday afternoon Bible stories that they used to do and read from this book called the Bible, this series of books with pictures and everything. Bible story book that they used to read from on Sunday afternoons when I was just a little tyke. A little tyke Van Dyke. Anyway, I do believe that there's been some distortion, a lot of distortion in some cases, with Christianity, with the Bible. I do not believe the Bible is the absolute Word of God, although I do believe that it contains words from God that are profitable for doctrine, for correction, for understanding things. I do believe that. And as I've said before, there was a time in my life that I read the Bible through every year. I've done that several times in my life. I did not do what my friend Dr. Bruce Morgan did, memorize the whole New Testament. But I did memorize many scriptures. And I, to this day, remember much of what I learned as a fundamentalist Christian. And I don't belittle any of that training. But I do feel that I've been called to grow up. And now I'm going to get to what is taught about Jesus and the gospel. We are told that the gospel is good news. Now, what is good news? That we were so ignorant and so stupid and so sinful and wicked that we couldn't do anything for ourselves, that God had to send his son to do it for us because we couldn't do it for ourselves. That's the core of the gospel to fundamentalists. It is. That Jesus died, was buried or put in a tomb, and was resurrected, and he's coming back again. That's the gospel that I was trained as a child. I see another gospel in the scriptures. When Jesus said, the things that I do, you shall do also, and greater things than these shall you do, because I go to my Father. His Father is the Creator. I'm looking at it as the Creator. And we're all creators. Robert Morning Sky painted a nice picture of Jesus, I thought. Is it one that Christians, fundamentalist Christians, are going to be happy with? Of course not. But Jesus said, I go to my Father, and the things that I do, you shall do also, and greater things than these shall you do. What was he doing? He was pointing, and he's saying the kingdom of God is in you. That's the central message. That's the gospel. That's why I say, trust your heart, follow your heart, trust your gut. That's why I say that. Because it's in us. It's about us. Individually, personally, it's about us waking up and recognizing that we are part of God. Each one of us. Jesus was saying, don't look at me as being the special one. Don't think that I've got all these gifts and you don't. That's not good news. If that's what you think, you're looking outside yourself. If that's what you think, that's not good news. How is that good news when you're going to continue to be weak? And you're going to continue to trust something outside of yourself and never have the experience of God for yourself. Never have the experience of pleasure for yourself. Never have the experience of knowing the truth for yourself. You only take it on somebody else's word. What somebody else has told you is true. And that's what you're going to believe. Well, I'm not in that camp, but I am a Christian. I am a Christian teaching and following to the best of my ability the good news that Christ is in me, hope of glory. Christ is my life. And it's not separate from me, it is mine. I died with Christ. I was nailed on the cross with Christ. And Robert Morning Sky says, maybe he wasn't even crucified. Maybe that was fiction. I don't know. I don't know. I know there were crucifixions in Roman times. Was Jesus one of them? I always thought so. But I don't know. But this I know. I have a relationship with one that I call Jesus, one that I call the Christ. I've had that since I was a child. And it's not diminished. I love Jesus. Is he Lord? He's Lord in many respects. But that doesn't diminish me or you or any of us, because it's not an authoritarian position. The authoritarian position is false, as I see it. It's false. Anyone that tries to make you submit and put you down is not in your best interest. Anybody that tries to build you up and get you to see the gifts and the talents and abilities that are yours so that you can become the best you can be, that is truth, and that should resonate with you. If it doesn't resonate with you, I would seriously question which side you're on. I would seriously question where your heart is. God looks at the heart. He does not judge as men judge. God looks at the heart, and he knows those that have a pure heart and clean hands and want to do the right thing and want to live in truth and want justice and want to be loving to the best of their ability and are open-minded and open-hearted enough to give everyone a chance to share his or her story and to share his or her perspective, and they're willing to listen and they're willing to weigh what is truth. What is truth? So I share these things with you this morning in response to Mr. Nibiru, and I encourage you once again to go within yourself, for the kingdom of heaven is in you, and ask whatever you call God, whatever word you use. Let my talents, gifts, and abilities come forth, because this is the greatest thing that's going to happen in 2012. As the people of love, the people of truth, are empowered and enriched so that we can bring about the kingdom of heaven on earth. Hopefully, we will do it all this year. I think we will, but I don't know. But we're moving in that direction. And I thank you once again for listening. Namaste. Namaste.